Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Black Eel Podcast with your hosts, Scott and Mike. So, in today's video, or episode, however you want to phrase it, doesn't matter, we're going to be talking about the latest episode of Harley Quinn, moving on to our thoughts on Luke Cage Season 1, and then ending with a character spotlight from me. So, let's get right into it and talk about Harley Quinn. I'm not going to lie to you, I thought this was a fresh take on Poison Ivy's origin.
Yeah, it was a little. So it was actually really funny because we're watching. I'm watching it, and Steph was kind of watching in the background. She stopped watching after the first two seasons because she wasn't interested in season three.
Yeah.
And she goes, because like you said, they're going through the origin, and she asks me, she's like, "Oh, how is Poison Ivy? How did she become Poison Ivy?" And I was like, it changes, but it's usually some kind of chemical bath. Typical villain or hero origin story. They get in contact with chemicals and become who they are. And then as soon as she asked that question, the next scene is her injecting herself with the chemicals to become Poison Ivy, and I just look, and I'm like, oh well, you just got your answer right there. And she's like, yeah, very convenient. But yeah, I mean, it instead of it being some kind of experimentation, it was technically experimentation, but
It was
no,
successful already. I think the
yeah,
difference was like she already knew it was a success,
hmm
and like this wasn't an accidental thing. Because I think
she didn't know it would be a success on a person, but she knew it was a success at least for plant
in
life.
general, well, I think the other thing too is it's like I took it as like it the serum was a success regardless. So the idea was her injecting herself was not on accident. Like let me phrase it this way. Like it wasn't an accident she turned into poison ivy. She had an idea she was going to turn into some sort of plant-like creature
So,
because
so I
because
kind of took it as like she knew it worked in terms of plant life because obviously she had a success with Frank, which, like you said yesterday, Frank was super cute as a baby. um,
the greatest. Like I never thought I could like Frank more until I saw him
yeah.
as a newborn, as a
Um,
sapling, as you will.
Sapling, yeah. But then so after obviously she's in her head, she's like, I'm gonna die anyways. I'm gonna take a chance and see if this is gonna work. She does it to herself. She hoped it would work, and it did.
But
There
obviously,
was
there's
like obviously there's a difference between experimenting on animals and plants versus experimenting on humans.
no,
There's always
absolutely.
different stages of it.
Well, no, I think the point I'm making is like, and this is the big theme of the episode, at least of her story, was the fact of like she was successful.
Oh yeah,
This wasn't an
yep.
accident in the stereotypical sense of like mad scientist gone wrong.
hmm
This was more of she did it for survival and it was successful because she already knew it was going to be successful, but like you said, wasn't 100% sure it was going to be successful on her.
Yeah,
But she wouldn't have tried it on herself had she not been poisoned to begin with.
yeah, she was, like I said, she was gonna die, so she
Yeah.
kind of had no choice. It was either try and hope to survive or not try and die. So
And also too, I think this is the I shouldn't say it's the first time, but I think it's also to show like Pamela Pamela has always been considered intelligent. That's never been like the issue. But like the arrogance in her intelligence was, I think this is the first time shown before becoming Ivy.
what do you mean by arrogance?
Um so like granted I think they did it for comedic purposes for the show, but you know how sometimes people think they're just smarter than everyone else?
Oh, okay. I mean, yes, yeah, yeah, yeah.
This was the first time, and please correct me if I'm wrong, that we see Pamela, not Poison Ivy, being the confident one.
I think in most times, Pamela in general, like the Pamela as a person, she thinks she is somewhat smarter than most people because of the fact. So, like, she wouldn't be going about going towards like, oh, I want to do this, I want to do this. Her whole shtick is, plant.
Yeah, yeah,
excuse
that's
me,
always been the case.
is plants, and plants need to be
Always have been.
saved and whatever. So it's like because it's fun. It's one of those funny things where it's like they take the trope of being an environmentalist as a bad person. which I mean they give
They
the trope in the entire season of in all the seasons of Harley Quinn. It's like, how is saving the planet evil? You
but
know?
they like they poke fun at it for that reason. It's like, how am I the villain when I'm trying to stop pollution?
Yeah, yeah. It's like, I'm doing good, but you guys are calling me the bad guy. But like Pamela, I think it's so. I think in like most iterations, it's Pamela's already smart and she knows it, and then becoming Poison Ivy just like amplifies the "I'm smarter than you" trope, or not
No,
trope,
that's fine.
but
No, I understand.
personality.
But you understand what I'm saying? Like it's not like I'm not saying she didn't think she was smarter. She didn't like brag about it as much as when she's becoming Ivy. I guess the best way to phrase it.
Yeah, I
At
mean,
least in most renditions, this is the first time where I felt like, granted, again, this is a very completely different show than anything else,
yeah.
right? But like it's almost like the opposite. Like Pamela was the smart, arrogant one, and then Poison Ivy was less confident.
Oh, in the show, yeah, but yeah,
No,
because
I'm talking about the show. I'm not
yeah,
talking
yeah,
about
yeah,
because
because yeah, because
it's
she's
always the opposite. It's always the opposite.
no, yep, because she's had herself, she's been put down so much that she just lost her confidence.
Yeah.
Um,
Um.
yeah, I could, yeah, definitely in this show, that's definitely the case.
So we also got King Shark in a way I wasn't expecting.
Oh, that was so funny.
I just like how I forget how many kids he has, and it makes me laugh every time.
They've become such a menace.
Like, oh my gosh, what is wrong with you kids? They're tearing up my apartment. And he's like, don't. And she's like, I don't know how many of them are gonna be left by the time you come back. He goes, oh no, I promise you, they're gonna kill you before you kill them.
Yeah, just like, oh
Unless
yeah,
you,
don't worry.
unless you feed them peanuts, and then they'll die. And she's like, I'm gonna feed them peanuts. He goes, no, you're not. You're their
I,
favorite aunt.
I love that.
Ah.
I love it that it's they do that stick as he's already walking away, and she's like, you. Then he like yelling in the background, and his voice just becomes like super angry, but yet still very loving. He does that. He does that so well.
He's such so he is. I've been his like comedy clips pop up a lot on my feed now,
Yeah.
and he is just he first off he sounds exactly like himself. Like it doesn't sound like he's changed his voice at all for King Shark, but it's like it's because of that voice. His deliveries are so perfect because
Oh,
you just gotta,
he's King Shark. Or sorry.
he's a comedian.
Yeah. So when you said he doesn't change his voice at all for King Shark, in my head I was like, he's playing the guy from Creature Commandos, the King Shark from Creature Commandos. So I'm like, oh, he's doing that as well. All
No,
right, my bad. I
no, I meant like, but like when you hear him like talk normal, like he sounds like King Shark. I mean, granted, maybe slightly more less animated, but like he's the same. He's the same voice, and
oh, okay.
it's just so funny. Um, oh yeah, some of the stuff he does is hilarious, especially like when he talks about his son being autistic. Um, it's like, but the way he does the delivery is just like nonchalant, and then being like, "Well, I guess you learned your lesson now, didn't you?" And it's just perfect because of his tone. But anyway, yeah. So all the kids are like going nuts. Is it Lana Luther? No, Lena Luther.
Lena Luthor. There you
I
go.
gotta lean with it. All right. Lena Luther, is the one that, well, they've already met, but Poison Ivy and is he the director or the dean?
He's I mean head scientist.
Perfect. And then obviously we get Poison Ivy's backstory with him. She then tries to kill him the same way that he did her, and she goes, "I'm giving you the same chance." And then it alludes to the end of the episode that he's alive and he's got like this weird like plant hand. So I'm
Yep.
very curious to see because my first thought was he would be Swamp Thing, but
We already have
clearly
something. Nope.
no. I know that's what I mean.
So in the comics, this is Floronic Man.
Floronic man.
Yep.
Man, they really. Well, wait. You know what? I really shouldn't talk because wait until you talk to my character spotlight. If you want to hear about old like a gimmick, I got a gimmick for you. Let me tell you.
Oh, we're going. We're this episode is very gimmicky.
Yeah. Yours is plants, mine are snakes.
Hey, it had to work in the 60s and 70s. This is the
No, you're not wrong, and I think the group I'm talking about, 70s.
Floronic
Um,
Man was actually introduced in the 80s,
Mine was the 80s,
1984.
1985 for mine. But to be fair, they were a better version of a group that was started in the 60s. But anyway,
Oh, okay. So, just a quick Wikipedia look. This character has been in live action before. He didn't become Floronic Man, but
oh,
it was from Batman and Robin, the movie. Um,
okay, no, that makes
so
sense.
he is the scientist that turned Pamela into Poison Ivy, which is, you
No,
know,
so he wasn't the Floronic Man. He was
he
just
didn't. She didn't get her revenge and turn him into Floronic Man.
yeah. I got you.
Um,
I got you. Okay, so that's gonna be interesting. I mean, we're obviously I'm assuming we're gonna see him in the next episode, but anyway, so then we have Harley Quinn, who got invited by Lena to an exclusive club for a princess birthday party. And so Harley Quinn, being the greatest caregiver she could be, brings all 37 of King Shark's kids, who are shark children with a really difficult um, attention disorder, for sure, or behavior disorder, for sure.
they
Um,
they have very what is it? I always get the two mixed up. Is it ADD or ADHD? That is
well, Sean is the worst one of them all because the other kids aren't eating everyone. Sean is the only one eating people.
well, they're all destroying stuff, but
Yes,
yes,
but I will say the other kids will control themselves to not eat people. However, Sean gets too excited and then starts to
can't
litter.
can't can't stop.
So I can't control myself, and it's just perfect. I
And
hate,
Harley is just not for him. She does not like him.
but also loves him at the same time. It's so bizarre.
It's actually a hilarious just change. I saw something online and I'm just like, you know what, this is totally right. They are literally the same character because they both
Yes,
can't control themselves. They
yes,
both
which
have
is why
just
they
this.
hate each other too.
Yes,
Well, you know what I mean.
which
They
is
they
why
like each other.
Harley hated him. But then as the episode progressed, she's like, you know what? I see myself in you. I actually love you and I want to keep you. And she literally keeps him.
Well, because the idea is she sees only the bad stuff he's doing, not registering like that's all the stuff she does too.
Yep.
Granted, to a different scale. She's not ripping people's legs off with her teeth. She's
I
doing
was
it with
gonna
other
say the
stuff.
only difference is that she's not eating people, but
No, no, no.
she's
Well,
she
I
will rip people's limbs off. She's
no,
done that.
I know, but I was very careful on how I worded it. Um, but anyway, so we also met. Bane is apparently dating his dominatrix girlfriend still, who apparently they've adopted Goldilocks together. So it's
Yep.
making me think like maybe they're not gonna have a Kite Man too. I don't
No, I
know.
think I think they will.
I don't know. It's just weird seeing these characters who were big in Kite Man and then all of a sudden popping up. But I guess it's to keep the story alive. I don't know. It just threw me off.
I mean, look at Harley Quinn. Look at from Kite Man. Harley Quinn characters came over to Kite Man. Uh,
Yes, but they needed to save it. Come on, Mike.
what do you mean
Um,
they needed to save it? They were just literally doing appearances randomly.
Frank was not an appearance randomly. Okay,
Harley
he
Quinn and Poison Ivy literally only showed up to say, "Oh, we're two house poor." So I
which
mean,
is hilarious because they didn't own either of the houses.
yeah, and then coming into this season, they didn't even they were just literally sitting in their apartment not doing anything. They didn't
I
want
know.
to go on a vacation home at all.
So you understand what point I'm making. But anyway,
But I think they're I mean they're clearly separating the overarching like characters in terms of like these this is for this show, this is for that show.
I think I was surprised though, and I think we've discussed this many times. I thought Brainiac was going to be for Kite Man, and realizing that Brainiac was going to be for Harley Quinn was a little bit of a shock. But it doesn't ruin anything. It's still.
No, I mean
I'll
it's
say
one of
this: they've done a better job with this season than they've done with. And again, it's still early, but they've done a
so
better.
far these first two seasons I'm more engaged in this one than I am with the last two seasons.
Agreed.
Um I like I said in the first episode where I think they're so far doing the they've so far they're still doing the same tropes that they had in the last two seasons, but they're still bringing out the better stuff that we enjoyed in the first two seasons, where they're just goofy instead of just being a lovesick couple that doesn't know what they're doing. they're still that, but I think the change in scenery in terms of going from Gotham, where they've already had this trope of Gotham's destroyed, we build it up, we do this, someone takes it over. Now being in a brand new area where we haven't seen before, introducing brand new characters, I think, at least for me, that's revitalizing it a little bit. And it was nice seeing at least a Poison Ivy origin from this universe.
No, I agree too. It was something I wasn't expecting because I felt like we already knew Poison Ivy. But then again,
Yeah, I mean, we never got her origin story, so
that's what I mean. I mean, we got Harley Quinn because it's Harley Quinn's show. So
yeah,
like, I wasn't even thinking we were gonna get.
yeah, never crossed my mind. And so far, well, I mean, we'll see what happens when we get the Floronic Man coming back and confronting Poison Ivy. But I mean, so far it's heading in a good direction. But yeah, like I said, it's touching on it's finally doing the things that I didn't like in the first two seasons, at least in these first two episodes, are they're it's not just them googling over each other and like figuring out, like they're trying, like being a couple. It's just like now they're in. I don't know how to say what I want to say, because it's like in the first two seasons they're like, oh, we love each other, but we have to keep separate. In this one, they have it. It seems like they have it figured out, so it's like they don't have to do the figuring out stage. And at least for me, that's uh, better so far.
Yeah, I mean, overall, I thought this. Oh, so anyway, so we're at the club, and then we were talking about how the kids were kind of eating everybody, and then Harley Quinn was trying to get into the exclusive club, and because she didn't think she would be allowed in it, so therefore she had to prove she could be in it because that's how she is. However, the owner was like, "No way in hell," and that's when Lena comes in and is like, "No, she's perfect for this." So I have my thoughts on what Lena's doing.
Yeah, I really can't put my finger on what she's actually doing.
Oh, I think I know exactly what she's doing. I think she's being the closest thing to a hero that she can be, because I think she knows what's going on with the security system.
Oh, you think she's working with Brainiac?
No, no. I think she wants him to be stopped, and her best way of doing so is having the two craziest people in her city.
Okay.
Because think about it. Every time they're there, they're causing problems for Brainiac, clearly, because we saw the security drones at the end. So
Yep.
the idea is, I have the thought that she's doing this, granted, not necessarily, she's doing it in a way that's not obvious, because she doesn't want Brainiac to know her true intentions. That's my thought.
Yeah.
She is a Luther after all.
Yes. In most iterations, Lena is actually very opposite from her brother. Is like Lex Will is clearly the bad guy, but Lena is more of a hero. Or I
Also,
wouldn't say hero,
okay.
but good person.
So what we're saying is Scott might be right.
No, I'm not. I'm not saying that you're not wrong. So yes. Um,
I don't know. You are not saying it like that ever again. Never again.
I got you what you wanted without saying the words that you wanted. So I'm in the clear. That's all that matters. You're so upset with me.
Ready to move on to Luke Cage, jerk?
But next week, unless some new character pops up for um, Harley Quinn, like unfortunately, my character spotlight wasn't this week because I could have talked about Floronic Man. But next week, my character spotlight will probably be Lena Luthor,
Unless, of course, they bring Floronic Man into the picture again.
unless another character is more of a major player. But
No, that's fair. But yeah, I mean, overall, I thought this was a good episode. It was very much an origin story, but in a really good way, I thought.
no, yeah, no, it's a fresh take.
Yeah,
It wasn't the same old thing where
correct.
and we got to see just Poison Ivy, how she doesn't let things go.
Which we kind of knew anyway. Let's be honest.
Oh yeah,
However, I do like how the professor thought he was going to get laid by Poison Ivy again.
yeah. Seriously, he's
I
just
was
like, oh
like,
yeah,
I like in my mind, I'm like, out of all the things, should be the last thing on my mind. I
uh
don't know,
huh,
and maybe that's just me, but I'm thinking to myself, after all the stuff I've done, you know what I mean? If I was him, I'd be like, after all the stuff I've done, I shouldn't be thinking this.
Oh yeah, no, definitely, definitely would not have thought
I
like,
don't get me wrong. I can understand him not thinking she would kill him. I get that. Like meaning like try to kill him. Like I understand that piece.
yeah,
That makes sense to me. But the fact that you're like I'm gonna get lucky is like the dumbest thing. I'm like no wonder you're an idiot.
yeah,
Um,
no, no wonder you were gonna lose your funding.
exact.
It's
No,
like,
exactly. So, but yeah, overall, thought this was good. Can't wait to see what the next episode is gonna be. I'm hoping we get to see like more Brainiac-ishness. But I feel like that's gonna be later in the season.
I think Brainiac is if it's good. Brainiac is like you said. I agree that he's going to be later in the season, but I think he's going to continuously show up like periodically, just like little
No, agreed.
snippets, so
Well, I
that
mean,
way we
like,
don't
I,
forget
I, I
about him.
think even with his droids, like, we saw them in this episode, even though they didn't do anything.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like the droids will show up and
Yeah,
do something to say like, "Oh, Brainiac is still around."
yeah.
Um, I don't know if he's going to be. The thing that I don't know yet is if he's going to be the big bad or if he's going to be like the mid-season bad. Um,
I'm gonna have to agree with you. I don't know. I think it's too early to know for sure. The way they're making it seem right now is he's gonna be the big bad.
yeah,
However, that could easily change.
because right now technically we have two villains. We have now Floronic Man because
Oh
now
yes,
he's going to
that's
be
true.
seeking revenge for Poison Ivy,
No, not him.
and there's Brainiac. Um, Technically, depending on how we look at it, because we don't have official confirmation. Uh,
Joker.
well, off of the trailer, yes, Joker, but no, I was going to say Lena Luthor, depending on
Oh, that's
uh,
true. That's
because
true.
we're assuming she's actually doing good because of her like how we know her in the or at least how I know her from her past. But they could throw a swerve and she's actually a villain.
Well, also
Um,
too, like Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy aren't like the goodest guys, so they could be adversaries. You know what I'm saying? Like, I
Also
mean,
true.
like they could still keep her being the good guy and Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy being the bad guy. Um, Potentially, although based on how they've done it so far this season, no. But you get my
I
point.
mean, how they've gone along with the show with Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy becoming Harley Quinn at least becoming more
Well, I
hero.
think Poison Ivy more vigilante, or not even vigilante, but like
Well, Poison Ivy.
environmentalist.
Well, yes,
Environmentalist.
yes, she's environmentalist, but like Poison
Well,
Ivy, in
and
terms of like how the
eco-terrorist.
character's been built, is
Much
I mean she's been the leader of the Legion of Doom, so they build her more of a villain versus Harley Quinn being joining the Bat family being a hero.
no, that's fair. That's
Um,
fair. I think more of anything, she's an anti-hero at
I
this
mean,
point.
yes, she is
I
an
mean, no,
anti-hero.
she is in the comics. I meant in the show too, which I think
No,
she
yes,
kind of is too. All right. Anything else? Are you ready to move on to Luke Cage?
no, we can move on to Luke Cage. I'm looking forward to
So
next week.
I am because I have to watch Iron Fist. I am not, but um,
See, now here's the thing: is you have to grind Iron Fist at the beginning, so that way towards the end of the week we get to more shows that we're looking forward to.
no, absolutely. Like my plan is to like just plow through it, just to be done because I'm like I just got to get through it. But anyway, so Luke Cage. So Mike said this was his least favorite season out of all of them so far, but did not dislike it, which is good.
Yeah, I mean, I still liked it.
No,
Like
I agree.
we talked a little bit about it yesterday. I still liked it, but between the four seasons that we've watched so far, this was my least favorite. It and my reasoning was because there wasn't. I felt like there was too many villains to really get attached to because they changed the main villain too much for me to really become attached and to the I guess become attached to them because
Well, I was gonna say
as soon as I started like really like oh man I really hate this guy I hope he gets beaten they changed the main villain.
this wasn't Killmonger. This was a trope of villains,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I'm not gonna lie to you. You're gonna have a better idea as to sort of why when you listen to my character spotlight a little bit. Um, so
um,
my character spotlight is the Serpent Society, which is to
okay,
what we're understanding is going to be in Captain America 4, which
yep,
it is. Do not get me wrong, it is.
yep.
However, I did not realize the overlap with Luke Cage. Um, Be-
Well, what I meant was, my questioning was like when you were saying like, oh, the trope of too many villains. So are you talking about like just they want to include everything all at once, or are you talking like I don't understand what you mean by
so
that in
what I meant
general?
was what I meant was it makes more sense why all those characters were introduced together because of where they worked together. I guess the best way in the comics. So like
Okay.
so like they're all part of the same gang.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, obviously they all technically were underlings of Diamondback. Um, they all had it in a different way because obviously Cottonmouth just
I
I
hate that name.
yes. um, Cottonmouth had borrowed money from Diamondback, was my if I remember correctly, and he was having trouble paying him back, or needed favors. He constantly was asking favors and couldn't repay them.
It was if I remember correctly, the big issue wasn't so much. So I don't think he was ever fully indebted into Diamondback until the weapons deal went south. When the weapons deal went south, that's when Diamondback was like, "Shades, you go out there and deal with this boy."
I
So
mean, yeah, I mean, well, they were constantly saying is that he was desperate for money because after the congresswoman had her vault stolen from, Diamondback was struggling to pay it back, and that's when they were saying like, "Oh, you don't have any money. The bar
Cottonmouth,
you have to
Cottonmouth.
shut the Cottonmouth. Yeah, sorry, the bar has to be shut down so that way you can pay us back, and then you're squared away and you can start over."
So that was the Hispanic group. That was a
What?
different group.
What?
The
That
ones who were asking for the money were the Hispanic group, not Diamondback.
no, Cottonmouth. I'm talking about Cottonmouth.
I know. Cottonmouth, who needed the money, right, had to pay the Hispanic group. That was the reason why they went there and were talking about how maybe you should sell this place to make it even.
Okay. Now I know what you're talking about. So this is what I'm saying too.
Too
He
many too
yes
many
to the
people.
Hispanic group, yes, but also if you I don't know if you remember this, but he was talking to Shades
Yes.
about how, oh, I need to call Diamondback and get him to help me out. And Shades said, if you do that, that's fine. He'll help you, but then you will no longer have Harlem. Diamondback will come in and take over Harlem and take him away from you. And then Cottonmouth said, okay, well, what do you want? What do you think I should do? And Shades had said, sell the club.
Yes. No, you're right.
Then
No, you're
then
right.
then you'll be squared away. Just start over. And then I believe also after that, the congresswoman had also told Cottonmouth to sell the bar as well and start over.
Yes.
Because he had borrowed money from her, which she was using for her campaign, which was dirty money, and she wanted to get her money back because
So it the money was legitimate, but she used it for illegitimate ways, and then she had to give
yeah,
it back.
yes, yes, because she lent him the money,
Yes, you know,
and
you're absolutely right. Yes, 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 yes.
um
And then Luke Cage is bulletproof, in case you didn't know. Um,
which also is one of those things too. It's like I guess it's similar to the Superman trope where you say like, oh, Superman can't be beaten. It's tough for you to really get attached to him. Whereas same thing with Luke Cage, where it's like the entire season, like people are fighting him, and I'm like, all right, he can't get hurt. It's like okay, I really don't have any real
well,
worries about him
that
being
well,
beaten.
to be fair, he was meant to be the Superman of Harlem. So like the idea
Yeah,
is like that's his gimmick. And so like the idea is you don't need to kill a god, you need to just make him bleed. And
yep,
like Diamondback said it perfectly because it's like because of course oh my gosh, it's not Maria.
Mariah.
Mariah, thank you. And she said it, well, you didn't even kill Luke Cage. She goes, I don't need to. He goes, I just proved he could bleed. He goes, I proved a guy who couldn't bleed is bleeding. He goes, my weapons will sell off like you wouldn't believe. And
Yep,
he's not wrong. I mean, like,
yep,
the idea is it's like, he didn't need to kill him. Don't get me wrong. Did he want to kill him? Absolutely. But him killing him wasn't the main goal. and it's so bizarre to me sometimes that so in he's such a criminal mastermind. It is incredible.
Yeah. I mean, he definitely his goal was. I mean, kind of disagree. I think his goal was to kill him, but the fact that he didn't kill him, he was able to change his plan on the fly and
Yes, I'll
still
agree
make
with
it
you.
work.
I'll agree with you. I think the idea is like, although he wanted him dead for sure, you're right. I think at the end of the day, he was like, you know what? We still accomplished what I wanted. Like
Yep.
people don't believe in Luke Cage anymore.
Like they
Um,
said, he said it to Shades towards the end, where it's like because Shades was like, you only have one Judas bullet left. What are you gonna do when that runs out? And he said, well, if I run out of bullets, I accomplished my goal. Like so it was, and then everyone saw him weak. Everyone saw that this worked. Like you said, sell it to the police. Now the police have an arsenal of what he needs. Was it talking to Shades? He was talking to somebody about how like we don't need to
I
mass produce this big bullet to pierce him. We mass produce a bunch of small ones.
I think it was
And
Mariah.
was it Mariah?
I think
Um,
so, but to be honest with you, he's talked to both, so I'm not 100% sure.
he's talked to
But I
so many
think,
people
but
about saying this,
I
but
want to say it was Mariah on this one because he had to have her talk to the police to get the deal going.
yes, that part, yes. But I
So
think I think he might have been talking to both of them at the same time
he could
because
have been. He could have been.
I remember specifically Shades saying like you only got one bullet left. What are you gonna do? Because he was trying to
No,
convince
you're right.
Diamondback to leave.
But I think that was. I think you're right. I think both were there because
Yeah.
I think it was right after an incident. So one of the big things here was Iron Man 2 was heavily present in this season. Because Hammer Tech was the big company here,
Hmm.
and then you had the Judas Bullet, which was hilarious because the Judas Bullet never worked in Iron Man 2.
Did we really even have like a real like demonstration with that in Iron Man 2?
So he had talked about it, said it's called the Judas, it's his great bullet, blah blah blah, right? Then War Machine uses it as like a rocket,
Hmm.
and then
Oh, it bounces off.
it
Right.
bounces off, it does nothing. So
Right.
they turned it into a bullet instead of a missile.
Hmm.
So like the idea is it was still like it was a joke because in and the also the idea is too it's like that was awful in the Avengers level issue, but street level it works.
Yeah.
So like that was also the trope there too, in the sense of like showing like Hammer Tech is more for for the street level, where Stark Industries is more for country.
Yep.
Um,
It just showing the difference in quality of the two companies. Yeah.
yes, and and obviously we got Hammer Tech obviously in Iron Man 3 as well. But I mean like the big point was for we get to see it in this, and the police in Harlem have it. I'm trying to think of what else. Those are the big things. We also got a comic book accurate costume of Luke Cage for when he became Power Man. When he breaks out of the prison, he gets that yellow shirt, and then he
Yeah.
has the metal bracelets and then the helmet. And then he makes a joke when he looks in the mirror saying, "I look ridiculous."
Yep.
Um, that was
I
actually
like.
perfect.
I actually liked the origin of his character, where he was on. He was with the doctors, the nurse. I forget her name.
Claire,
Eh, Claire. Thank you. Um, where he's with her and
trying to remove
she
the
was like, "Oh,
bullets.
you're Luke Cage," and he said, "No, that's Power Man to you," and he said, "That's what my dad used to call me." It gave him his comic book name, but not, it was just like a nickname from his father. That little each season, aside for Daredevil, has so far it's been a nod to what your comic book name is, without actually going full force into it. Like Jessica
Yeah,
Jones was Jewel.
Daredevil was the only one that was the opposite. They named him something else and then became his comic book self,
Yeah,
which isn't a bad thing at all. It's just it worked. It worked for the show, but it worked the right the way that we've been talking about it with Luke Cage and Jessica Jones, because they're not those characters anymore. Like
yeah,
they're not Jewel, they're not Power Man. They're Luke Cage and Jessica Jones. They're not. They don't hide themselves anymore. Or ironically, because Carl Lucas. But I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
but for the most part, they don't hide themselves. And to be fair, he's more known to be Luke Cage than he is Carl Lucas now, anyway.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, overall, like I liked it. I love the how he got his powers. I like the idea of him having to be dipped into acid, to
To
have
pierce
the
his skin. Yeah,
to remove the shards, which I thought was cool. I liked when he comes out of the acid for the last time, and he makes Claire think he's lost his memory.
oh yeah, the just
Were
mess
you?
mess
And
mess
she's
with
like,
her.
that's not funny. I also like that we find out his wife wasn't as innocent as we thought.
Yeah, yeah. Just he just lost all faith in her, and which is understandable.
No, absolutely, and I think it also makes him, which this fits for later on. I mean, they come back together for the Defenders, so that doesn't ruin anything.
Mhm.
But like seeing Luke Cage and Jessica Jones interact again is significantly different now that he knows what his wife was like.
Oh, okay.
He doesn't hold a grudge against her nearly as much.
I mean, I think
There was
I
still
think at
some
the end of
friction.
Jessica Jones, he
There was still
forgave
some.
her.
There was still some friction. There was still some friction.
Was there? Oh.
Just a little, not a lot, not a lot. Because you got to remember too, the difference was he still didn't like the idea that she was killed, his
I
wife,
think it was
but he
more
doesn't
because he
blame
lied
her
to her.
anymore. Well,
Was
yeah,
she lied to him?
yes, he doesn't blame her for killing her. He blames her for lying,
Yeah,
because he got mad at her for everything
yeah.
until he was brainwashed, controlled by Killmonger, and then he was like, oh, now I understand.
But at the same time, did I actually don't remember. I don't think after she fought him and shot him with the shotgun and he ended up in the
No,
hospital,
no, they haven't seen each other.
he they haven't seen each other since.
No, you're right. So we're gonna see them interact.
Yeah.
Shock. Spoiler. Um, which again isn't a spoiler because the Defenders is coming up, so it's not that surprising.
I'm just curious obviously how he got out, how he's going to get out of jail. Because I mean obviously they hinted like he's going to fight it, he's going to get out, but Defender Saga comes before Luke Cage season 2.
Yep.
So,
So it's Iron Fist, then it's Defenders.
okay.
So it's literally 2 seasons away. Well, 2 weeks away for us. Um,
Are we going to make it to Daredevil season 3
March. Yes.
before March? Oh yeah,
Yeah.
this is only the first of this is the first week of February. Oh,
No,
next
it's
week is the
not.
first. Next week is yeah. Well, this week is the beginning of February
The very end of it. Yes.
because Saturday is February
Yes.
1st. Yep.
So
So
yeah,
yeah,
we're gonna be on the Defender Saga the first full week of February.
yeah. All right,
Okay.
that's not a big deal.
No, and then I think we have like 3 or 4. It doesn't matter. Anyway, we'll be able to. We'll at least make it to Daredevil 3 for sure.
So let's see.
Um,
There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
6.
Week 6 is when Daredevil starts.
Okay.
No, I'm just letting like I'm
No,
telling
that's
you
fine.
like unless you want to combine the watch 2 seasons together, which we can
Which we
technically.
have been doing.
Uh,
Wait, what do you mean watch 2 seasons together?
sorry. What I'm trying to say is the goal was to finish the Defender Saga before Daredevil begins. So that's what I mean. So we have 5 weeks before Daredevil starts.
Yeah, no. Yeah, we're not
So
gonna watch the full saga, but we're gonna get to Daredevil 3, which is more important.
yeah,
And we'll just
um,
finish the other two after. It's no big deal. Or during, it doesn't matter. But anyway, so how did you feel about Diamondback?
I liked him. Um, I think the whole he hates him because my father didn't like me because of you was kind of, I thought that was a little bit weak, to be honest, like as an overall uh like character builder. Um it was, because it's one of those things where like he did his whole life because his father didn't love him as much as him, even though we were getting told the entire season about how his Luke Cage's father didn't really like him either because he thought he was a criminal.
But, and I think this is the big thing too, because I can't give too much away because I have to be very careful. But
Yeah.
the idea is he didn't. It was more of like the Luke Cage talked about what was behind closed doors. What happened not in closed doors was he would always talk about his son, Luke. Like
Mm.
his prized possession is his son and everything else. Because he was a preacher, he would preach about, have the facade of how much he loves his son, even though when he was with his son, he would tell him, "You're a criminal. You're nothing worth anything." Right.
Yep.
So the idea is, it's like Diamondback only saw what the pastor said in church, so therefore made it seem like he loved Luke Cage or Carl Lucas.
Yeah.
So it's like, you're right, but he didn't see that, and why is he going to believe him now after all these years? After he heard about how much he praised his son, his
Yeah.
miracle baby.
Well, the thing is too is like he loved him too until he found out he had another son. Is like that's kind of the
Well,
other
that was
thing
the
too.
other thing too. He had years of not thinking he couldn't have a son or couldn't have a child with his
Yep.
wife, which is why he fooled around with the other one.
Mm-hmm.
And then he had a kid, and then he realized, oh shoot, we had a kid with my first wife, my real wife, and I'm like, well, I'm a pastor, I gotta stick with my main chick, and yeah, it was a lot of that. I'm not gonna go into too much detail of that because, I mean, spoiler. We get more details later.
Either way, overall, I liked the fighting between the two, and I liked how he was able to enhance armor that could be able to compete with Luke Cage. I just think like the whole my daddy didn't love you because he loved me because he
His
had you.
intentions, you didn't like his
Like,
intentions.
yeah, I thought that was kind
Or
of
his
just like, all
reasoning, I
right.
guess the best way to phrase it. But yeah, no, I
um
agree. I agree with you. It was very much crybabiness.
yeah.
However, love the suit, and I love that the reason why he kept bringing that stuff up was to antagonize Luke Cage, to hit him, which would make him stronger.
Yep.
And then I and then if obviously Luke Cage figured that out, or at least I shouldn't say figured it out, he guessed it, and the fact that he kept getting he stopped hitting him and then realized how weak he got, he then just took him out.
I liked the flashback to when they were younger about how with him training him that let the opponent tire you out, let let take a beating, reserve your energy, and then when he's exhausted you fight back,
Hmm.
and he used that to eventually beat him. I did like that.
So
um
and then his costume was actually very close to being comic book accurate. Um, not the absorption of energy, but like the look of it, I'll say.
okay.
Um, but anyway, so Misty Knight. Do you know why they heavily focused on her arm,
When she got shot,
and they kept bringing up we might have to amputate it?
I'm assuming then in the comics it gets amputated.
So it was a big, huge thing because she's the same character from the comic. Like, she's a detective, blah blah blah. The difference is, in the comics she's a detective in Manhattan, not in Harlem.
Oh, okay.
But it doesn't change much because she works with Luke Cage a lot. Um, but yeah, in the comics she gets her arm amputated and has a bionic arm replace it.
Hmm. Oh, okay, that's cool.
Um, and so like they heavily hint like, oh my gosh, she's gonna lose her arm. Uh oh. And
Yeah.
it was like a big nod to the comic book fans, because realistically, if you don't know her, because she's not a well known character at all. Um, but the fact like that they kept bringing it up is funny to me, just because of the fact of like what happens in the comics.
Okay.
Um, but I just like that because it's like, because in my mind, because I had to look her up when I first watched it, because I was like, well, why do they make such a big deal about her arm? Like, does it get cut off? And then I looked, and it does in the comics.
Mm.
So I was like, oh, so they were just trying to make a point, like, will she or won't she?
Yeah. Just giving a nod to it without actually going like putting their own spin on it, kind of.
Exactly. No, you're absolutely right. So anyway, so that was a big nod for me, or a big nod to the audience, and then that was pretty much it. I mean, everyone in
I want
there. Oh, sorry. Yes.
no. I want to go back to Jessica Jones because
Oh, okay.
you had asked me about how like if I noticed a difference in their fighting style, and I said kind of they were more like street level fighting, where like streets fighting, and I kind of see that as now more the. I kind of doubled down on what I was thinking before too, because of the fact that Luke Cage technically had professional fighting training because he was a boxer.
But obviously, he
And
can't use it against regular people fully.
well, yeah. But my point,
But
like
yes,
my point is like when you were like, oh, how did you notice them fighting? Where it was like him, I was saying Jessica Jones was more of a street fighter in terms of like fighting. She learned to fight on the streets, even though she's not a real fighter. But like the way I see it is just like if she's going in for a fight, it's not she wasn't professionally trained. It was just you're going in to throw a punch without it being proper or just reckless.
this is how I look at it. She's using her powers. He's using skill.
Yes,
Not to say he's
that's
still not using his power, but like he does it in a very
like
more
when
manipulated way.
it was Luke Cage versus Jessica Jones. Like Luke Cage was he had fight
Dominating.
training, whereas Jessica Jones was just like throwing haymakers if she needed to, not trying to legitimately fight.
Well, she
Um,
really can't, and I know that
she
sounds
can't
weird.
fight.
Like it's that's the thing that I wanted you to say because it's like you're gonna notice because you're obviously again it's the four main characters are gonna be in the Defenders. That doesn't ruin anything. It's in the trailer.
Yeah,
You'll notice it, whatever. And each of them has a unique fighting style, and seeing them all together is just a bizarre thing because they are so
yeah, no.
similar and
I
different.
but I know because it's like hers was more reckless. I guess what I was getting at
Yeah, and
because
I
she
just like
doesn't.
and like I want to say something and I can't because it's a huge plot point in the
Oh, okay.
Defenders.
Well,
Because
I'll
it's like,
wait.
well, no, because it's like I want you to like think about like her facing somebody who is like very trained,
Yeah, she's
and
gonna get
like,
her ass kicked.
and
Yeah.
it's just funny. Anyway,
I mean, if you go, it
oh,
depend. I
and
mean,
by the way,
obviously,
did you notice too of somebody from Jessica Jones was in um was in Luke Cage, not physically.
oh yeah, she was on the radio.
Trish Talk,
Trish.
Trish
Yep,
Talk.
Trish Talk. Yep. I saw that and I was like, oh, we're gonna get more
Oh no, we
cameos, but no, we
well
actually didn't.
we got two from Daredevil and one from Jessica Jones. We had the arms dealer who
Oh
left
yeah,
Hell's Kitchen, and then we
yeah.
had the district
That was
attorney who says
I loved him. That was funny.
he goes, "I'm going back to Hell's Kitchen. Harlem's crazy."
The
No,
people
no,
respect
no,
me more.
no. I think it was. I think it's safer in Hell's Kitchen than
Yeah,
Hell's
it
Kitchen.
sounds safer in Hell's Kitchen. Yeah, that's right. I loved too where it's just like every time he shows up, he's just so calm. Like everything is going to shit, and he's just like, yeah, whatever. Unless it's specifically done to him, where it's like Luke Cage locks him in the
Well,
dumpster,
I mean, like, well, yes, that's still funny to me.
and he was freaking out on that. But like anything else, like he goes on the roof, he sneaks onto the roof with Cottonmouth, where Cottonmouth kills his minion, or his next in line or whatever, and he's just like, yeah, whatever. I just want my money. And it's like,
Are we still doing this deal or what?
yeah.
He's. I think it's because he's just seen a bunch of stuff and he knows that like he can't show fear. Um, but I also think too he's lived through a lot. Like legitimately, after everything we've seen him, like he got beat up by Daredevil more than
Multiple
once.
times.
He's been, I believe he's been attacked by Jessica Jones.
Yeah, because he was in Jessica Jones. I don't remember the extent of it, but yeah, he was in there. So he's seen what she's done.
Yeah, and so like all of yeah, so it's like yeah, we have all that. Um, but yeah, so we have that, and then we also got Mariah talking about Jessica Jones, about how
Yep.
superhero beings, we have some woman who snapped this man's neck because he told her to.
Yep. I mean, they talked about she brought up Daredevil too, which is like the vigilante that takes the law into his own hands.
I think she called him the devil.
Did she call him the devil? I don't.
She didn't call him Daredevil. I think she called him the devil.
Oh no, she didn't. Yeah, no. I know she didn't call him Daredevil. I was just more like, oh, like I said.
I think she said devil, but I could be wrong because the idea was she wanted to incite fear, and I believe
Yep.
that's why she used devil.
I love that they took in all honesty, in the show, they took a lot of modern politics and incorporated into the show.
So well.
Even though this show came out 10 years ago.
It is so, Mike. When I tell you politically, that's why I like Luke Cage,
Yeah.
in the sense of like the political, like hypocrisy mixed
Yep.
in is so well done because it's like it just that's what I loved about Luke Cage, and I still
Yeah.
love it.
Oh
But I
yeah.
like we talked about this. I didn't like it as much this time around as I did the first time, but I think it's because I mixed up some of the seasons and stuff, or some of the interactions and stuff like that. So because of that, like I it lost a little bit for me,
Hmm.
but it's still so good. And the political piece, like so, like, and we've talked about this. For me, Daredevil is basically Batman.
Yeah.
Um, in the sense of like meaning like vigilante going in, like that's what it's meant to be.
Yep.
Jessica Jones is a detective story more than anything else, private eye. Um, Granted, obviously with a mix of powers, but you get my point.
Yeah.
Luke Cage is political
Yeah.
and police, like mixed together. Like it's the
I mean, yeah.
political and the police. It's basically more of like society show than it is of like superhero. And again, don't get me wrong.
Yeah. This
Obviously,
one
it's
was showing like what is wrong with society.
yes, and like what's wrong with politics?
Yep, politics. I mean, I incorporate that into society because
No,
it's like
absolutely.
because of the corruption in the politics, you got the corruption in society.
And how she can manipulate, how somebody can manipulate the politics and manipulate the story in their benefit, and done so well. Mariah is so good in
Oh
it.
yeah,
I love her character so much because I hate her so much.
yeah. I mean, it is. I mean, just,
She's
ju-
another character who has had horrible stuff happen to her, and you don't care.
oh yeah. No, I mean, she was abused as a kid,
Sexually assaulted as a child, and we
and
do not care.
and
I hate
it
saying it that way, but it's like we
yeah.
don't
No,
because
we
it's like
don't
it's such
because
an
then
awful
because
burden.
she instead of using that to like she used that to better herself in a bad way. And
Like,
it's
don't get me wrong, it shouldn't have happened to her, absolutely. But like my point I'm making is, it's like just like with the lawyer in Jessica Jones, I made it clear to you, like there's gonna be things that happen
yep.
to these people, some of these people, not all of them, but some of these people, and you're gonna be like, you know what? Good. Like I hate saying it, but it's like it's one of those things where it's like you don't feel bad for them because of all the bad stuff that we've already seen happen.
It's one of those things though because obviously like she gets sexual assaulted and um she was the family that they grew up in
So dysfunctional.
led them down this path. So it wasn't their fault, but now they've become what
Worse.
they didn't want to be.
Yeah, they become exactly what they never
Like
wanted to be.
in the entire season, she
Both
looks at
Cottonmouth
her
and
she
Mariah did not want to be where they are,
yep,
which is
they
so funny to
but
me.
throughout this entire season because you at the start of the season you're like, "Oh, Luke Cottonmouth is the real bad guy." And then it turns out that it's Mariah. And but the funny thing is like she is constantly looking at a photo of her mother and keeps saying, "I'm not like you. I am not you. I'm
And she
not
is
you."
100% her.
And
She
she
is
is her.
100% her.
Yep. And then like when you go back in time and see when the I guess Cottonmouth's aunt tell him to kill her husband,
No, wasn't husband.
I thought he
I
was.
thought they were brothers and sister. I'm looking that up. Keep talking. I the family's weird. The
I thought Cottonmouth said that you got assaulted by your father.
no no
Anyways, either
keep
way,
going. I'm gonna look it up.
when she tells him to kill him, she Mariah comes down and tells him, "Do it. He deserves to die. He's done all this bad stuff," and he was caught off guard by that because he didn't expect that from her. But like it was one of those things where like where Cottonmouth didn't want to do it despite all the bad he was going through. Like he got forced into it, whereas Mariah kind of willingly went there. And I think that's a big tell on the two characters because Cottonmouth still wants to be good, whereas Mariah just doesn't care anymore. Um, I just thought that was it was two starkly different characters that are still the same. Um, what happened? You look confused. Um,
No, sorry. Continue. Keep talking.
I'm
No,
trying
because
to.
no. Talk about other things. Yeah, you did
Well,
a great job.
you're not even listening to
Sorry.
me.
Mama Mabel's crimes. All right, Mama Mabel. Give me a minute. Give me a minute.
All right. Well, I like too, like
I gotta
Mariah.
be so careful because, damn, I can't. All right, I can't say.
Okay, hold on. Let me
No,
let
no,
me.
because no, don't
You
look it
talk
up.
about
Do
something.
not look it up. Do not look it up because you're gonna. There's spoilers for season 2. You cannot look at it. That's why I stopped.
You can't look. I don't know what you looked up. Can you look up who did Mother Mabel tell Cottonmouth to kill?
Oh, that I actually can.
That's what I was gonna look up.
Sorry, no, no. I literally was just there. My apologies.
um,
I'm right there. Hold on, keep talking. I'm literally almost right there.
do you know any? What about the scientist? I'm assuming the scientist played a big role in the comics. He was
I don't know
he.
him that well. It's actually more of the prison. Seagate. Seagate was more of the big thing in that part, not so much.
The scientist.
Yeah, the scientist had a name, obviously, and all that stuff.
I'm assuming
Um,
he's gonna. I'm assuming he's gonna play a little bit of a role in season 2 because he was experimenting on Diamondback.
yeah.
So I'm interested in that, obviously. Um, excuse me. Um,
Really? Why is it not
well, either way, overall, the show was good.
Pistol
Uh,
Pete? Pistol Pete
Pistol Pete. Okay, now who is Pistol Pete in relation to them?
is
uh,
part of the family. That's helpful. Was a mobster and a member of Marvel's crime family. As a result, he was shot and killed by his nephew under the orders.
nephew.
So, sister-in-law Mabel.
Sister-in-law.
Yes.
Okay.
So there, yeah, yeah. I'm gonna go only up to that point for a reason,
Yep.
because after
Uh,
that you.
it's fine. Spoilers. We got our answer.
But no, no, but that doesn't ruin anything because um, the reason why she called him uncle, what they called him uncle was because they were in the care of Mama Mabel.
Yep.
So like they were all like relative to them, but like not like directly related. And so because that was Mama, that was uncle.
Okay. Yeah. Yep.
It was like they're all related. They're like cousins, like great aunts and uncles and stuff like that. But like
Yep.
the idea was because they were under the care of Mama Mabel, that was Mama, and
Oh, I want
so
to. I
that's
actually.
Uncle.
I actually want to talk about how brutal Mama Mabel actually was.
Oh,
Like,
she is
sh-
again.
I like the
It
guy. The guy got involved. What the funny thing is like she was willing to do anything except drugs. And as soon as he got involved with drugs, just with the clippers, just come in and cut off the finger. Just oh my god! And then just had Cottonmouth get do his first kill.
I still love my favorite thing. She goes, I got white people in the living room. Can you make sure they don't hear this?
Yeah, just take it outside. I don't want to scare them off.
And I'm like, and in my mind, what kills me too, it's like, woman, you did it.
Save this for later. Oh my god.
She was in, well, was because she's obviously dead now.
She's dead. Yeah.
Was the Yeah, that doesn't ruin anything. I mean, you kind of figured she was dead, but she is or was the best criminal mastermind at the time,
Of that time.
and
Yeah.
Mariah becomes as close to Mama Mabel as she possibly can be, and I would argue better. And I don't mean in
I
a
mean,
good.
technically, I think she did because she actually got into the politics, whereas Mama Mabel was just a political influence. At least my understanding.
Agreed. Agreed. She had the. Well, because you also got to remember too. Back then, a black woman would never have been
Wasn't
in
necessarily
politics.
allowed to. Yeah, that's true.
So she had to influence it. Whereas if it was in modern times, I think she would have done very similar to Mariah.
Yeah, she would have been in control of the politics. Yeah.
Correct.
Um.
And also, let's also remember too, Cottonmouth insulted Mariah by calling her Black Mariah,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that plays a heavy toll later.
Well, I mean, the reason why he got killed by her was because he said that she was raped by
No, she wanted it.
Pis-
She wanted it.
she was raped by Pistol
Pistol
Pete,
Pete.
and she wanted it.
It
Um,
wasn't. It wasn't in his mind. It wasn't rape. She obviously wanted it, and so
yeah,
that was the whole reason why she goes, "I didn't want it," and then she starts. She kills him.
Yeah. Yep.
And honestly, that is a very intense scene.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
It was, I honestly, when I first saw it, obviously I knew it happened when I watched it this time, obviously. But like the first time, I wasn't expecting her to kill him.
No, I wasn't either. Like I said, I was expecting him to be the big bad. So the
No,
fact that he didn't turn into the big bad was shocking to me.
and then she obviously becomes the new, um, how do I want to phrase this? Um, crime leader, family crime leader.
Um, but she doesn't become that until the end.
Yes, but my point I'm making is she becomes it because
Yeah,
Diamondback takes that spot.
she
Diamondback
finally
takes she
she
takes it
finally
over.
embraces it at the end.
Yeah, when Diamondback's completely gone,
Yeah.
she fully embraces it then because she realized she could live both worlds.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, that was season one. I'm very excited for you to see season two, but I'm more excited for you to see the Defenders first.
Yeah.
Um,
Like I said, I did enjoy this show. I think like part of the disconnect for me was because of the fact that it's a different culture than mine. So
yep.
I don't have that personal connection.
Well,
Whereas
we
with
we
the
talked
other
about that.
shows, I have because it's similar culture. I can have a little bit more connection to it.
I was also gonna say too, like Harlem is a whole different ball game.
Yeah.
Because they talk about gentrification and everything else, and so it's like stuff that we can't relate to,
Hmm.
but it's like it, it's it's very well done, and it shows a side of Marvel we don't get to see.
I
Um,
think also just the fact that the fact that this show came out 10 years ago or 10 or 15 years ago. Um,
no, it's 10.
well, either way, when this show came out, the story that they were trying to tell wasn't as mainstream media as it is now. So
Correct, which
it
is
may
it's
be
more
like if this show came,
it's
if I
more
watched the
relevant
show,
now.
yeah, if this show came out if I watched this show 10 years ago, I probably wouldn't have liked it at all because I didn't understand the message at all. Whereas nowadays, I have a better understanding of it.
Yeah, it was definitely well written. I mean, phenomenal. I loved. I mean, we also got Method Man,
Which who was that?
the rapper,
Oh, okay.
the real rapper, who
I don't remember.
who who, by the way, wanted to be Luke Cage.
He like wanted to be on the show as Luke
No,
Cage.
wanted. So he's wanted to portray Luke Cage.
That yeah, so he wanted to be on the show as Luke Cage.
Well, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yes. I'm saying
I couldn't figure out how to the word to say he had
he
auditioned to be
he
Luke Cage.
he no, he's wanted to be Luke Cage before Luke Cage was a show. Like if there were ever a chance to be Luke Cage, he wanted to be it, and so it did not happen, obviously. But he got to be in it and rap. So I think he was.
I actually really liked that interaction in the convenience store with the two of them. That made a put a big smile on my face because it's just like it just the whole like oh just nonchalant comes in save the day and he's like oh my god I know you, oh my god I know who you are, let's be buddies kind of. It was just so
Well,
and
I
then
think well
changed.
that's also the difference between Daredevil and the rest of the Defenders is because like he doesn't have a secret identity. So
Oh
it's
yeah.
like you're known. Like, oh my
Yeah.
god, you're Luke Cage. He's like, yeah. Oh my god, you're Method Man. Like
Yeah.
it's one of those things where it's like it works so well because he doesn't hide who he is
Yeah.
in that sense. But yeah, I also like him taking over Pops.
Yep. I did like that.
Um,
It was it was a funny trope where Pops could never become a barbershop again because every time they fixed it up, it got destroyed.
yeah, and I honestly forget what it turns into. I legitimately don't remember because I think it doesn't become a barbershop, but I do not know what it becomes.
Okay, well
Um,
we'll see. We'll find out in season two.
I'll tell you this: I know it stays Pops, which doesn't ruin anything.
All right, it's just
Um,
no longer a barbershop.
I don't think so. I don't think so. Maybe it does. I don't know. I don't remember. I cannot for the life of me remember, but Pops does exist still. Um, I think it actually finally gets fixed up and maybe blown up again. I don't remember. To
Continue
be
the
fair,
trope.
it wouldn't surprise me. But yeah. So we had that. So that was pretty much Luke Cage. I mean, anything else you want to talk about?
No, I think we covered most of it. I'm looking forward to Iron Fist just because I want to see you suffer. I will laugh so hard if I actually ended up liking like this show. And
Well, I'm interested to see how I feel about it after watching it. this time around because I remember downright hating it. But I'm now thinking, did I hate season 2 more than season 1? And I feel like I did.
Okay.
So, which does change a lot because I potentially might not destroy season 1 like I've been bashing it before watching it.
Like, yeah, now that you're getting all the seasons mixed up because you've been saying that all along, so
Which I did say would most likely happen.
yeah. But I mean, I just know from the very beginning you said Iron Fist. I'm not looking forward to it, so I'm interested to see how this is going to play out.
Yeah, I know.
Um,
I know for a fact, though. Overall, it was my least favorite for sure. That's not going to change anything. However, I just don't remember the difference. Like, I know the difference between season 1 and season 2. Like, I know the overall stuff, but like the in betweens, like the stuff that happened to get there,
yeah,
I might be mixing the two up.
yeah,
But we'll see. But for now, let's move on to my character spotlight
yep.
because Mike, my character spotlight is the Serpent Society. In case you didn't know. So the Serpent Society was created in 1985. And shockingly enough, Mike, what do you think the Serpent Society is about? Take a
Serpents,
guess. What do you think is in the Serpent Society, Michael?
snakes,
Could you be
lizards.
more specific, you jerk?
What are you going for? Like,
No, like if what do you think is inside the Serpent Society, you jerk?
people?
They're snake-themed villains.
Okay.
So originally this was so one of the things it was called was before the Serpent Society even existed, it was called the Serpent Squad, and people are going to argue, well, they're two different things. They are two different things, but the Serpent Society was created as a business enterprise for criminals and mercenaries whose costume identities are based on snakes.
Okay. Yeah.
And
Which
so,
we had talked about earlier. So, like, when
no,
that
exactly.
you were telling me this earlier, so I didn't know what you were leading me to.
You should be led there. And so
You were doing a bad job of it. I got to tell you
one of the
that.
previous renditions of this was also called the Serpent Squad. The society, however, remains as one of the best organized and most successful coalitions of criminals in operation today. Just think of that. It was like a joke, and now it's like actually decent.
So I apologize. When you say that, do you mean like they, as the comics has progressed, they've become the comics? They took them more seriously overall as a comic books group, or like they
Both.
evolved as a in? Okay.
Both. So what I mean by that is like they've become like they're not like they're yes, however, they are still snake themed. They are not like as gimmicky as they
Okay.
were before.
Yep.
They become much more mainstream in the sense of like, oh, we gonna die.
Yeah. Okay.
And what pisses me off even more is it adds, and we'll talk about this in a minute. It also brings up a character. They're interacting with a character that I've wanted in the MCU forever, and potentially could be brought in again.
Is this what's his name?
Mephisto.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll get into it. So after a successful mission on Roxxon's chairman Rick Jones, Sidewinder, who happens to be a snake-themed villain, decided to form his own criminal organization of snake-themed mercenaries and assassins known as the Serpent Society. He convinced his three former teammates, Anaconda, Black Mamba, and Death Adder, of the sincerity of his intention to help them better their lot and set up contact with Asp, Bushmaster, Cobra, Cottonmouth, Diamondback, Princess Python, and Rattler. Some
Okay.
names you might have heard before.
Yeah. There you go.
But they're not who you think they are. At an introductory meeting at Manhattan Hotel, which Viper refused to attend, Sidewinder laid out his plan. The various snake criminals would band together as a single society. The society would function not unlike a labor union, in which its members would receive a guaranteed pay and better access to technology, insurance, and health benefits. Because, hey, it's America. Constrictor, however, was unimpressed by the proceedings and attempted to alert the Avengers. Anaconda later found Constrictor, beat him to an inch of his life as punishment. So the Serpent Society was trying to prove who they were and why they were the greatest things to ever exist. So they were trying to reach out to Kingpin and AIM and Hydra to try to get contract work. However, their first paid job contract was from AIM, which was for them to kill MODOK. And guess what? The society was successful in killing MODOK and
Mhm.
actually boosted them up in the crime world because people started to realize, oh, they're actually like a decent group of people, like decent villains. They're not just a joke. Like, oh, they can actually be hired to do like some major criminal stuff. Then we had what was called the Serpent War. The Viper plotted to take over the Serpent Society, enlisted its members in her scheme to introduce a mutagenic chemical into Washington, D.C.'s water supply that would turn its citizens into an insane reptilian creatures. The four of her operatives, I apologize, Black Racer, Copperhead, Fer de Lance, and Puff Adder caught the attention of Sidewinder in Las Vegas, and he intended to invite the quartet into the ranks of the Serpent Society. However, that was all part of Viper's plan, who then went in and tried to take over the Serpent Citadel, aided by her operatives Boom Slang, Coach Whip, Rock Python, and Slither. A lot of snake themed names, and they killed me.
I got that.
So, Viper poisoned Sidewinder, but Diamondback managed to escape with him and enlist the aid of Captain America, who at the time was identifying only as the Captain. He was not Captain America. So you sorry. Anaconda, the Cobra, Rattler, and Cottonmouth decided to support the Viper, who imprisoned and poisoned those Serpent Society members who did not serve her. So the captain, aka Captain America, Diamondback, and they had some allies, Nomad, and Demolition Man, who succeeded in saving the captive society members and defeating those serving Viper. They were able to stop him from causing the mutagen to come in. However, Cobra then became the new society's leader, adopting the code name King Cobra, and a number of Viper's operatives joined the society. Isn't that wonderful? The roster of the society consisted of the Anaconda, the Asp, Black Mamba, Black Racer, Boomslang, Bushmaster, the Cobra, aka King Cobra, Coach Whip, Cottonmouth, Diamondback, Puff Adder, the Rattler, and Rock Python.
There's so many names.
So many like you wouldn't believe. Then we had the trial. So during the society, right, the society found out that Diamondback was dating Captain America.
Oh,
Diamondback's a woman.
okay. All right. Yeah,
I
sure.
know, no, I know. When I read that, I was like, I'm sorry, what? 'Cause I was thinking Diamondback of. I was like, they went like I didn't realize they had Captain America gay for a minute.
Yep,
I didn't
that's
know.
literally what my head went to, and then I was like, "Wait, no, is because I'm like, wait, does that mean Diamondback is actually a girl in the
So
comics?" And
there's actually two Diamondbacks. One's a female who's part of the Serpent Society, and one is the one that we know of.
Diamond, like in the comics, this is the same way, or like you just talking about the show?
No, I meant in the comics.
Oh, okay,
So like there were two people who had the name Diamondback, and this particular one is a female. So she started
interesting.
dating Captain America, and the rest of the Serpent Society didn't know. However, they found out and decided to put her on trial. And guess what? They were going to put her to death. However, she sought help from Captain America, who helped her escape and get out of there. However, she was then also saved by Madame, Modam, which is a female version of MODOK.
Oh, okay.
And they decided to, along with the Anaconda, Puff Adder, and Rock Python, who were also females. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry. No, I'm right. No, I'm wrong. Sorry. Diamondback, Black Mamba, and Asp are the three females. Anaconda, Puff Adder, and Rock Python are males. My apologies. Diamondback, Black Mamba, and Asp teamed up with Madame to create the Femazoids, who turned into a female army of supervillains, and they left the Serpent Society. Big shock.
I have to say, with all these constant names coming at me, I'm having a very tough time following along.
No,
I'm gonna be perfectly honest.
no, this is really tough because it gets harder.
Yes.
So, um, so we also had them. They created a company at one point and tried to be legitimate, but turned out their company was Dirty Works and were stopped by Diamondback, Captain America, Sam Wilson specifically, to defeat them and stop them from um, being the Serpent Society company, I guess is the best way to phrase it, where they were on Wall Street. So then they were also hunted by Craven the Hunter in Arcade. So I don't know if you remember, Craven the Hunter had the hunt where he hunted down every animal themed hero, villain, and vigilante and anti-hero. And so he was after the Serpent Society because they were animal themed.
I didn't realize that he was going after animal themed. I thought he was going after anybody that they felt was a worthy kill.
So no, there was a specific theme in one of the comics. So like yes, but in the comics there was one like group story where he hunted down every single like animal themed
Yeah.
character and like went to kill them.
Okay.
Um, and so that was like the big theme there. They also had a criminal technology show expo where they tried to show like that they could compete with like Stark Industries and stuff like that. Shockingly, it didn't work.
Yeah.
They also were corrupted by Mephisto. Several members of the Serpent Society were corrupted by Mephisto, worshiping him as the Great Red Serpent. And they opened a portal to Mephisto's realm. Um, Nevertheless, they opened a portal to Mephisto's realm, which Mephisto closed it soon after, mocking the Avengers about his after the Avengers mocking his plan about his using the serpents, which is hilarious to me. They had the billionaire think tank, which they came to be again to try to be investors instead of being like criminals in the stereotypical sense. So like they were trying to like invest in specific like technologies to better um, villain slash hero technology. Which actually surprisingly did well. Then we had Mephisto back again, and they created what was called the Serpent Tears, which the serpent's tears, so tears of a serpent, um,
Okay.
and that was apparently supposed to be used to poison and kill everyone in their wake. It was supposed to be used as blessed by the god of Mephisto, the serpent god, even though that's not what he is. And he was going to bless the tears, and they were going to kill everyone in their wake, and they will be the supreme overlords of the world in Mephisto's honor. Well, the Avengers, who were comprised of Photon, Lightning, Wonder Man, She-Hulk, and Hercules, arrived, defeated the Serpent Society, and Mephisto had told Viper, Pit Viper specifically, who was the leader at the time, that I will give you victory no matter what. And so they lose horribly, and Mephisto's like, "Peace out, I'm out," and then let them lose. And that is how the story ends for right now. So I just find it funny that they're also entwined with Mephisto, and that irritates me even more. Because I did not know that. I thought they were just a criminal organization, and they've become a cult,
It
as
just
most
makes
things
it
do.
now. Now you're going to be watching Captain America, going, "Where's Mephisto?"
Where's Mephisto?
you're
Is
gonna
Mephisto here?
you're gonna be seeing Red Hulk come on screen. Is that Mephisto?
Is he turning into Mephisto? Um, So, some of the equipment that is being talked about here is all members of the society have a special homing device surgically implanted in their heads in order for the leader of the time to spring them out of jail if they're ever apprehended. And then their transportation is the serpent saucer.
Such a gimmick.
It is 100% a gimmick. I mean, so they've been a joke for a lot of the times, but realistically, they're mainstream. Like
Yeah.
they've gone toe to toe against the Avengers, lost, but needed obviously they needed, excuse me, they needed Mephisto's help. But the
Yeah.
idea is they can go toe to toe with the Avengers, and so Cottonmouth and Diamondback should have been ones you've heard before. There's
Yep.
also going to be another one that you get introduced to later that was also mentioned in this, but we'll talk about him later. So for now, um, that was pretty much my character spotlight. I want to do it on a group because I'm not going to lie to you. I thought the Serpent Society was going to be it was going to be awkward doing just one of the characters because there really is not much known about each individual one.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize that one, they all intertwine for the most part for obvious reasons because they're part of the society. But like I didn't realize the Serpent Society was as big as they were.
I mean,
A lot
I'll
of
be honest. It makes
a lot of
sense.
snakes, a lot of snakes, a
Yeah,
lot of
it
snakes.
makes sense.
No, it does,
Um,
but it's not something I think of.
yeah, no, absolutely.
Like you're absolutely right. Like it makes perfect sense. I just didn't know it.
Hmm.
But yes. So next week we're gonna be doing the
God,
2 episode premiere of Spider-Man, Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, an episode of Harley Quinn, and season 1 of Iron Fist.
so much. It's actually not that much. It's just one extra, technically
It's just
one
one
extra
extra
episode.
episode.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna be crying. Oh, and we're gonna have a character spotlight for Mike. I'm gonna be crying because I have to watch Iron Fist. Mike's gonna be laughing but also crying because haha Scott's suffering, but oh I also have to suffer.
I mean, I'll be honest. Like,
Well, the best part is you don't know you're gonna suffer yet. So right now
I don't know.
you're thrilled with the idea of me suffering.
Oh, absolutely. But no, I'm gonna be honest. Like, jumping back to Luke Cage. At the very beginning, watching this, I actually was struggling getting into it. Like, I really didn't want to continue watching it because I was like, this is slow. I don't really care about these characters.
Which is what happened to you the first couple of times you watched Daredevil.
Yeah, like I was
And
like,
then
I
this time,
really,
for whatever reason, you were like, I love it. And I
yeah,
was like, I remember you saying you hated it. Well, no,
I know.
I shouldn't say you hated it. You like, I couldn't get into it. So clearly I didn't like it.
Yeah, no, I couldn't. I mean, like that's the thing with like Luke Cage. It's just the first 2 episodes, or maybe first or 2 or 3. I was just like, this is dragging on. I really am not like digging it. And
And
then it
also,
just it picked up.
by the way, I haven't told Mike this, but I'm going to tell him now. Or maybe I did. I don't remember. We're going to be ranking the Defenders after we watch them all.
You did not tell me this. So, like, are we gonna re-ranking it as in
As a
quality?
series, individual series. So it's going to be like Daredevil, all 3 seasons. We're
Okay,
going to do Jessica Jones, and then Defenders is going to be its own thing.
okay, no, that's fine. Okay, so
Um,
like it's
yeah,
gonna be just
we're
by
not gonna
by
do
the show,
individual seasons
by
because
the show.
no, we're gonna go by the show because it's gonna be easier to remember.
Yep.
But yes, so for that we're gonna do that, but that's at the end, obviously. So for now, if you made it this far into the video, please make sure to like and subscribe down below. Other than that, this is gonna be Scott and Mike signing out on the Black Eel Podcast. Have a wonderful day. Bye bye.